Today, I'm going to show you some awesome deals in the Pokemon card market, but today there's a twist. I can only show you cards under $10, so I'm going to have to do a lot of digging to find the absolute best bang for your buck. Today's list is going to be absolutely insane, so you're not going to want to miss a second of this episode of Buy It Before I Do. Alright, I'm really excited for today's list. This has actually been a bit of a special request to do a budget episode, so we're going to talk about the absolute best cards you can get for under $10, and we're going to start off today's list with an absolute banger. We're going to talk about the Tyranitar Art Rare in Japanese. So as you may know, Paldea Evolved just released, and the art rares are going insane in that set. As of recording this episode, the Magikarp Art Rare is going for like $85 or $90. The Tyranitar is even going for $35. So I think to be able to buy the Japanese version for under $10 is still an absolute steal. I've said it in many other episodes, I think this card is absolutely fantastic and it really should be worth a lot more than it is. So I don't know how much longer this card will be available for under $10, but while it is, I think you absolutely have to still buy this card. Alright, and next up on the list is going to be the Raichu Art Rare as well. And for similar reasons to the Tyranitar Art Rare, the Raichu Art Rare is a lot cheaper in Japanese than the English counterpart. I really don't know if anyone expected the art rares in Paldea Evolved to be so much more expensive, but as of right now, the art rares seem to be a little bit tougher to pull in the English set, so people are really buying them. The Raichu, of course, is another fan favorite card, and this one you can currently pick up for around $8 on eBay. So again, I'm a really big fan of these art rares. I think they're going to do really well over time. And I'm actually going to show you some of the English counterparts from Paldea Evolved just so you can see how much more expensive those are. So as you can see, the Tyranitar and the Raichu from Paldea Evolved are actually some of the most expensive cards in the entire set. I'm really kind of blown away that these art rares are actually bringing so much more value. So currently the Tyranitar and the Raichu are sitting at around $30. And then you got the Magikarp just up there around $85. That's absolutely wild. But I am glad to see that these art rares are getting as much attention as they deserve. They're absolutely beautiful and they do seem to be a little bit tougher to pull in English than Japanese, but while the Japanese counterparts are still under $10, I definitely think they're a good pickup. Real quick, we're going to be giving away a Paldea Evolved booster box to one lucky subscriber. All you have to do to enter this giveaway is like this video, subscribe to our channel with notifications on, and comment down below a card that you think is worth it to buy under $10. Alright, back to the video. Alright, so next on the list is going to be the Penny Full Art Trainer from Scarlet and Violet base set. The reason I have this on the list is because it's so much cheaper than the Japanese counterpart. It's kind of a strange market right now. There's a lot of English cards that are cheaper than the Japanese counterpart, and there's a lot of Japanese cards that are cheaper than the English counterpart. So I'm trying to find the best deals on either side. For example, a lot of the art rares do tend to be cheaper in Japanese than the English counterpart, and on the other side of the coin, a lot of the full art trainers are cheaper in English than the Japanese counterpart. So currently the Penny Full Art Trainer you can get in English for around $8. And because the full art trainers are so much more popular in Japan, the Penny in Japanese is actually going for around $60. So if you do collect full art trainers, it's typically a lot cheaper to go with the English versions. So just for reference, here's eBay currently showing the Penny for around $60. And since the English version of this card is under $10, that is why it's going to make today's list. Alright, so I do have another Scarlet and Violet base set card on today's list. We're going to talk about the Iron Treads EX Secret Illustration Rare. Currently, you can get this card for around $4. Honestly, I don't think any of the special illustration rares should be anywhere close to this price. It seems to be that you only get around one of these per box on average, and this one being somewhat of a fan favorite Pokemon with being one of the new Paradox Pokemon, I truly think this card is significantly undervalued, and it's just a really beautiful card in person too. It's got really nice texture, and it's just a really cool looking Pokemon. The Japanese counterpart is actually a little bit more expensive than this one, but overall, I just think that this card is significantly undervalued, and for $4, you just really can't beat that. Alright, and you already know I'm always happy to see this card on the list. Next up is the Mew Art Rare from Crown Zenith. This is one of my favorite Pokemon cards just of all time. It's actually my #1 card in Crown Zenith. Currently, you can still get this card for around $7. I truly think this card is up there with a lot of these secret art rares in the set. This card doesn't have texture, but I think it's just one of the best designed Mew cards that they've ever made. And as you can see on the 6 months chart, this card's actually starting to see a little bit of an increase. So the last Crown Zenith product was actually released last month. We have no confirmation of any sort of reprints. I don't know if Crown Zenith will be reprinted in the future, but since there has been a lot of product on the market, the singles have been significantly cheaper than they should be. So while this card is still under $10, I absolutely recommend picking this one up while you still can. And next up, we're going to head over to Lost Origin to talk about the Pikachu Vmax Trainer Gallery. I'm a huge fan of these black and gold cards, and honestly, they've all been super undervalued ever since they've come out. The pull rates on these were actually not super high, so it's always been surprising to me that these are as cheap as they have been. But this Pikachu Vmax is currently under $10, but it may not be like that for long. As you can see on the 6 month chart here, it actually has recently been over $10, but it does look like we have a brief window here to pick this one up for under $10. It's currently going for around $8. And of course, this Pikachu Vmax is kind of just the iconic, like, chunky boy Pikachu that everybody loves. We don't really have any sort of confirmation if they're going to do these black and gold cards again. And if they don't, with this being the only Pikachu black and gold card, this is an absolute steal, and I definitely think it'll go up over over time. All right, and next up on the list is going to be the Gengar from Lost Origin as well. To me, this is a super iconic card. It's already a fan favorite. I'm really excited to see how this card does over time. It's honestly a really unique artwork. I really like how they displayed Gengar here, and this card is still going for around $3. That's an absolute steal in my opinion. There's honestly a lot of art rares that you could go with even in Lost Origin for under $10. For example, the Charizard and Pikachu both are around $4 to $5 each. You could definitely go with either of those as well, but for me, this Gengar is just super cool. That, and you could actually go with the Japanese counterpart as well, which is also around $4 or $5. That one was actually super unique because it was actually banned in Japan from tournament play because of the artwork. So if you want to go with the Japanese one, the banned cards tend to do pretty well over time. I think this is a really good pickup either way. All right, and this is another card that has made it to many of our lists in the past, and for good reason, because I just believe this is just one of the best promo cards that they've come out with in Japan, especially in the Sword and Shield era. So this is the Arceus V promo card from Pokemon Legends Arceus. You can only get this card in Japan from the Pokemon Center for ordering the game. We did get a copy of this card in English, but we did not get the exclusive stamp. So typically over time, the exclusive Japanese promo stamp cards tend to do really well. So you can take a look at any of these stamped Japanese promo cards that have come out in the past and just see how well they've done over time. I don't think this one will be an exception by any means. It's an absolutely beautiful artwork. I love the stamp on this one as well. Of course, it's a fan favorite Pokemon, and it's still just hanging on by a thread under $10. I still think you can get this one under $10, still sealed on eBay, so we'll check that out. All right, so it truly is just hanging on by a thread here. It looks like on eBay, they're actually have finally gone over $10 or $11. These are still sealed, so you may still be able to find an unsealed copy for under $10, but if you watched any of our previous videos, you can definitely still get this for under $10, especially if you buy multiple copies of the card. So what I would do here, if you are interested in buying multiple copies of the card, definitely reach out to one of these sellers on eBay that are actually in Japan. They'd probably be more than happy to work out a deal with you to buy multiple copies of the card to get it under that $10 price point. I know we've still been able to get this card for around $7 or $8 still sealed, but that's because we buy a lot of these at a time. But either way, still for $11 or $12, if you just want to buy one copy of the card, this is an absolute steal, and I really think you should pick this one up. All right, and while we're talking about sealed promo cards, we gotta mention the sealed Entei promo from the movie. This one also made a recent video just because I absolutely love this card, and you can still buy it for around $10 still sealed. So this is a 22-year-old card now, and I think it's super iconic because it's that first reverse holo foil that they ever came out with. This was an exclusive Wizards of the Coast movie promo. And again, this one is still hanging on by a thread for that $10 price point, but while you can still pick it up for $10, I absolutely recommend it. Even if you just want to buy this one just to open it up, it's really nothing beats that nostalgic experience of opening up that promo pack just like you did 22 years ago. And to still be able to do that just for $10 is absolutely amazing to me. So this one absolutely has to make the list today. All right, and since today's episode is specifically about cards under $10, we gotta talk about celebrations. Honestly, for $10, you could have kind of a field day with celebrations. I personally think these Celebrations Classic Collection cards are significantly undervalued. I'm not necessarily going to say one is better than the other to pick up for under $10, but if I had to pick a card to buy for under $10, that card would be the Blastoise Classic Collection card. So you can still pick this one up for around $6. And as we've talked about in previous episodes, this card also has a really good grading multiplier. A PSA 10 can go anywhere from around $60 to $80. That and the Japanese counterpart is significantly more expensive. So real quick, here's the Japanese counterpart. Now you could only get the Japanese Classic Collection cards in a promo pack, so it was a lot different in Japan, but the Blastoise is still selling from anywhere from like $50 to $60. So to still be able to pick up the English version of this card for around 10% of the cost of the Japanese version, I think that's an absolute steal, and I really think the Celebrations Classic Collection is still super undervalued. So really you can use your own judgment there, but I do think the Blastoise is definitely one of the best picks. All right, that's it for today's episode. I hope you found this information helpful, and if you did, make sure to subscribe with notifications on, that way you don't miss future episodes. As always, if you want to help support the channel, you can do your Pokemon card shopping at pokecollect.com. The link for that is in the description. We always have insane deals, and every purchase directly helps support the channel, so it's a win-win. All right, thank you so much for watching all the way until the end, and with that, we'll see you next time.